Guys, it's still a buyer's market out there. Let's see what deals I've picked up from Heritage Auctions this time. Welcome back, comic book fans. This is Rusty again from Collector Auctions, and in today's episode, we are going to be going over some comics I've been picking up from Heritage Auctions, but specifically talk about the fact that this market right now is really down, and you can definitely find some good deals out there. And I've been finding some good deals on Heritage Auctions for some slab books, and that's what I picked up over the last month. These are books that are not necessarily on my 2023 goals list. There's a few in there that are pretty big keys. There are some in there that are just really good books, and I think I picked them up at good value that I will hold on to, and I'll possibly resell at some point. But the fact is, even with Heritage Auctions premium, buyer's premium that they put on every item, I think the values have been really good. In fact, I think some of these books, you couldn't even touch these for these prices at some of the comic shows that I've been to recently. I just finished up going to the Baltimore Comic Con, and I'm going to tell you, no, I didn't compare these books to what I saw on the stands, but it felt like a lot of dealers had their prices up pretty high, especially in some of the slab books. And I don't know what it is, but it seems like Heritage Auctions is one of those places where maybe people stay away because they know how high prices can get with those buyer's premiums. I don't know, but I feel like this batch of books that I'm going to show today have been really good value, and we'll see. But before we get started, definitely, guys, if you like this kind of content, definitely hit that like button and slap the subscribe and click on that notification bell. That way you guys won't miss out on any of my episodes I put out every Monday and Friday at 10 a.m. And that's it. I'm rambling, and let's get to the books. All right, guys, so these are books that I've been picking up from Heritage Auctions. Like I said, I think they're at really good values, and we'll go over them, and I'll tell you about the fair market values on these and tell you if I paid more or less for these type of things. Again, I think the values are down in the market right now, and it's probably wise to get some of these books like this when you can get them at better prices and hold on to them. We will definitely see the economy turn around at some point, and definitely the collector's market, specifically the comic book market, will definitely rebound, and these things will go up in value if you do the research over time. And I'm just talking loosely about that because I don't do a lot of that research myself. I watch a lot of this being done on other channels, and I talk about the research over a course of a period of time and how the values, just like stocks, will increase over time generally. That's what I feel like on these. These are all really good books. So let's just get into it. I'll show you the books and we'll go through them. First up, I ended up picking up, this is Watchmen number 7. And of course, this is the Alan Moore, Dave Gibbons maxi series from 1987. And this is issue, like I said, this is issue number 7. This is from March of 1987. And right now, this book right now ended up being, as a fair market value of this, is about $120. And now, luckily, I ended up buying this. It was closer to about $100. And that's not much of a savings. But the way I feel about these Watchmen books is that these are very desirable, especially if you can collect the whole series as 9.8s. I mean, that the really valuable one, of course, is number 1. But all of these have a certain value, and I've seen it over the last 2 years because I've gotten some of my own personal ones graded over the last couple of years, and I've sold some of those, and the prices, I seem to remember the prices on these things have come down a little bit. I remember that some of these were in that $200, $250 range. So for a fair market value of $120 right now, I'm okay with that. And again, I paid a little bit less than that. And so this is a book that I will sit on, and hopefully we'll see a rebound on the value on this. Again, very desirable series. A lot of fans of the Watchmen out there. So I didn't stop there on that particular issue. And these two came from the same auction. They had one other that kind of went a little bit higher than I was willing to pay at that time, and I actually got issue number 8 as well. And this one is about the same as number 7. It's about $120 $20 fair market value. Again, I didn't pay more than, it was about $100 by the time I was done on this. So again, I've got this under fair market value. And again, it will be a book that will go up in value once we get that market back as well. You definitely will have some completists out there on this Watchmen series trying to get all of these at 9.8, I'm sure. So, but for the time being, I'm pretty happy to have this in the PC. Love this series. I was in college, second year in college at this point when this book came out. I remember getting my comics while I was in college, and I was getting my subscription, and I was getting my Dark Knight Returns and my Watchmen books, and just I remember sitting there at my desk in the midday, and when my roommate came back into the room, I was like, oh my God, you've got to read this. So it was very influential back in the time. I was very lucky a few years ago. Dave Gibbons came to the Baltimore Comic-Con, so I got to meet him, and he signed. In fact, I didn't get any of the comics signed, mostly because I feared that I would never be able to get Alan Moore on there. But I did have, and I should break it out because it's sitting right up there on the shelf, is back in the day, they had a lot of other collateral that DC was putting out for the Watchmen. They had a Watchmen button set, they had, or a lapel pin set, they had, and what I got was a set of prints. I think they were 11 by 17, but it reproduced, I think, every cover. It had all the French covers, and it also had the paper, the ads, in-house ads that they used to have in the other comics for the Watchmen. They were done in black and white. It was very much kind of like the cover here, but it was in black and white of the characters, of the main characters. And I'm not sure how much of that I got signed. In fact, I probably should break that out, and I'll highlight that on a show at some point. But I remember Dave Gibbons being at the show. Autographs were free back in the day, and he signed a bunch of those, and I remember, but he had limits. So I remember getting back in line multiple times, and it finally got towards the end of the day, and I'm like, I'm going to have to go through this line another time, probably by the third or fourth time in that day. And I got down to that, and I basically say, hey, I've got this many left. Can I make a donation or something like that, the Heroes Fund or something, and just get these banged out, because I'm literally spending the whole day in line right now. And he was cool with that. But that was always cool to get Dave Gibbons to sign some of those things. So that was pretty cool. All right, now this is a book that I've got a really good raw one that I haven't got in the CGC yet, and I've got a low grade of this as well, because I always thought it was a great cover. But this one came around, and it was a pretty high grade, and I think it was at a really good price. Again, I didn't pay much more than $100 for this. This is an 8.5 of Beware the Creeper #1. It's got this wonderful, wonderful Steve Ditko cover. Of course, this was his creation and his book, and I always liked this book. I mean, it's not his first appearance, but I always liked this cover a little bit better. So when I picked up that, I think it was a 4.5, and I didn't pick it up for that much. It was mostly just to have it in a PC. But this came around on one of the auctions over the last couple months from Heritage, and again, Silver Age books at an 8.5 is kind of my sweet spot. They are very presentable, and I thought this was a really good value. Fair market on an 8.5 right now is about $130. Again, I paid under market on that. So it's one that I think will go up, especially if we happen to see anything from the DCU with James Gunn. I don't recall if he mentioned having the Creeper in anything, but come on, that's kind of his MO, is taking characters that are very offbeat and people aren't really aware of and turning them into stars. So Creeper fits that mold completely, but I'm a fan of this book. I love this cover. Steve Ditko had some of the greatest covers back in the Silver Age. Those I'm trying to think. It wasn't Blue Beetle. It was Captain Comet covers. I absolutely love those. So great book. 8.5. I'll sit on this for a while. I love having this on the PC. It's not a book that I will take to the grave, but it's a book that I will continue to hold on to and just have enjoyment having. And if that value ever pops on there, I'll have something. I can definitely resell it at some point. All right, so now we kind of move into some big keys. Those books were all kind of minor keys, kind of, I mean, even those Watchmen, you may not even call them keys, but that whole series are keys, technically. But this is a key. And I've been looking for this book, and I've been trying to find it raw. I almost picked it up at the National Sports Collectors Convention back in July as a raw. But what I've been noticing is that the raw prices out in the wild, and when I say the wild, at card shows, at comic shows, are pretty high. But the point of this whole video is finding graded stuff, and in this case on heritage auctions, at really good prices. I mean, you're paying prices that you're almost paying for the same for the raws out there. So I ended up with this, and this is a big key over this last year specifically. It is Thor 134, the first appearance of the High Evolutionary. Now this came out in November of 1966. And of course we had the High Evolutionary in the latest James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and I think that was really well done. Even with swapping races, it didn't bother me. In some cases, I don't like that kind of thing, but in the case of the High Evolutionary, it never really mattered who was underneath there, what skin color. It never mattered. And I think that was a character that they could do that kind of thing to, and I think it was a really, really good portrayal in the Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a key, of course, and fair market value on this is about $240. I didn't pay anywhere close to this. I want to say I was closer to that, and I don't have the price. Sorry about that, guys. I don't have the exact prices. I'm doing this on recall. But I recall that I paid somewhere in that $185 range. And that $185 is what people are paying raws on a book of this quality. Maybe a little bit less, I don't know. But again, for the fact is, right now, I think I could sell this and make a profit if I wanted to. It's a really good deal. So I was happy to pick this up at a 6.5. 6.5 on a book from 1966. Maybe it's a little bit lower for your guys' taste. For me, I thought it presented really well. I mean, it's definitely got some age to it, but should have. Maybe I'll start because we've got the QR codes on a lot of the newer books now. I could start reading some of the graders' notes on some of this, but all I know is that this is very presentable. 6.5. That's a really good book. I'm super happy to have this in the PC. It's a book that will continue to grow, and it didn't matter about the MCU spec on that at all. Well, it did if you were buying the book at the time, of course, but it's always been a desirable book, and I think it will continue to be just a big key for the Marvel fans, for the Thor fans out there. So, definitely happy to have that. And so we didn't stop there. We ended up with another mega key from Thor, and this is a book I've got raw. It's one of the books that I had discovered in my grandparents' house back in the day when I was a kid, after all of their kids, my mom and her brothers, long since left the house. Long since. I mean, hadn't been living in a house for anything. And I ended up finding it raw. It's a pretty good book. A little rough, but I'd always wanted to have a better copy of it. And this is what I found. Thor 165. And this is a book. Now, I ended up paying, it was close to $250 for this. Fair market on this right now is $325. And again, I don't know what it was, but maybe sometimes you hit these auctions really good, and sometimes they explode. It depends on the audience, depends on the week. But I mean, that, again, this is a book I could sell at a profit right now if I wanted to. Now, I don't really want to. I'd love having this as a 6.5 in my collection. This presents really well. It's a lot better than the copy that I have, the raw copy I have. And generally, the cover right here is fantastic. You've got some serious edge wear down here at the corner. But the other three corners are really good. The back cover is fantastic. And, of course, this is the first full appearance of him, who would later become Adam Warlock. And, again, that's another big spec from the Guardians of the Galaxy movie that just came out, along with the High Evolutionary. Now, this is a character that I think they completely wasted in that movie. That movie they could have made that movie a lot tighter. That movie needed to be completely about High Evolutionary and Adam Warlock. They could have made that story really tight and really made this character a big character, because they're obviously thinking about continuing this character. You saw the end scenes at the movie. He's part of the Guardians now. Well, this shouldn't have been a throwaway character, and it's what they did in that movie. It's one of my biggest complaints about MCU is they kind of take characters and they just throw away 50 years worth of stories, of history, what made those characters special. And there was nothing special about Adam Warlock in that film. He was there, it didn't explain anything. And I didn't mind the fact that you could connect the High Evolutionary to Adam Warlock. I think in the comics, High Evolutionary eventually is the one who gave him his name, Adam Warlock. But in the comics, he didn't create Adam Warlock. And in a sense, I guess he didn't in this movie. It was through his other creations that created Adam Warlock. That got a little contrived, but the fact is they wasted this character. That movie should have been completely about him, and High Evolutionary should have been the kind of the villain of the film leading into with it, which he kind of was. But it didn't need to be about Rocket. It needed to be about this character right here. This is where they should have gone. And they still could have done some of the Rocket story. It didn't need to be all about Rocket. So, anyway, that's my feeling about the Guardians 3 movie. But what a great book. I'm glad to have this in the PC. This book isn't going anywhere either. It's kind of nice to have both these books at a matching 6.5. Again, I think it was a really good value, and I think it's a really good buy on that. All right, so a couple books left out of this haul, and this wasn't over a specific amount of time. This is kind of what I do is I save up some of these Heritage Auction wins, and then we just go over them over a period of time. So this is over the course of probably the last couple months, not every week, but probably the last, like I said, last couple months. Now, this is a book, I shouldn't have bought this. I made a mistake. I wasn't paying attention. I thought it was a 9.8. And I bid on it. They had issue number 3 right before it was a 9.8. I know that for a fact. And it went up a little bit too high. So I said, okay, just go ahead and get the number 4. Now I've got this number 4 issue right here as a 9.8. It got it out of my PC, and I've got it in it's my 2023 goals list to get all 4 issues from this mini series as 9.8s. And I already have it. But when I saw the value of this, I'm like, okay, that's a really good price right now. Go ahead and pick up another 9.8. Well, it wasn't a 9.8. It was my mistake. It was a 9.6. It is Batman The Dark Knight Returns number 4. Now, like I said, I picked this up for about $100. It wasn't quite. It was closer to about that $90 mark. And it was my mistake. I thought it was a 9.8. Went ahead and won it, and I'm like, okay, crap. Go ahead and pay for it and get it in here. And this is a book that I will definitely look to resell. Fair market on this right now is about $100. So if I sold it right now, I'd be breaking about even, maybe a little bit less, depending on with the shipping and the credit card charges that would have added up on this particular order. But I've got a 9.6 on this that I will look to move. If anybody's interested in a 9.6, reach out to me. I'll definitely be able to offer this up to you. But again, it's about fair. I bought it about fair market value. I'll hold on to this. This book may or may not go up too much more, but I didn't lose out too much. I just shouldn't have bought it. And then the last book, this is the bonus book today, guys, because those were all the Heritage Auctions, and I actually hop back onto Comic Link occasionally. And I don't know what it is about Comic Link, but I think their prices on their shipping is outrageous. I think if you buy one book, it's outrageous, and then when they turn around and you get 2 books, it's doubly outrageous. And it didn't seem like it used to be that way, but kind of kind of puts a damper on going back to them too much. But I did pick this up, and I picked this up right now at a really, I thought, a really good value. It was well under $100, and it's a key, but the shine has kind of come off on this character from this, and who knows. Well, let me just show it to you. It's Iron Man number 7, Invincible Iron Man number 7. It is the first appearance of Riri Williams in cameo. And big character going into the Black Panther film. I don't think people really like that character. It kind of falls into this, let's just make these female characters great to begin with. And they didn't have to have 3 movies of struggle, and you don't see them struggling to attain things and to achieve levels and things. And it happened with Rey from Star Wars, and you've got Riri Williams in this, Shuri in the Black Panther films, kind of the same way. They're already fantastic. They're the greatest thing ever. They don't have to struggle at things really to be super great. And I don't know. All I know is that the shine has kind of come off of Riri Williams. This book has gone down in value, even though right now the fair market value is still 9.8. Again, I picked this up for just under $100 off of there. But doing a little deeper dive on this, you look at some of the recent sales from eBay, and 9.8s are going for $57 and $60, and that's a real big drop off. And if you look at that, then I definitely overpaid. But it's a book that I can hold on to, and if they ever get around to maybe releasing on Disney Plus the Riri Williams Ironheart series, or do anything more with her, maybe that'll pop out. But I don't like relying on the Hollywood versions of these characters to make these books pop. Books are keys because they're keys. It's a first appearance. That's good enough for me. So that may or may not have been a good buy, but I felt like at the time it's like, okay. And I had this, I pulled this from my own PC and I sold it a year ago. So again, I go back to that. I'm buying books and adding them back to the PC. This is a book that I don't necessarily am in love with. So it's a book I'll hold on to. We'll see if the market comes back better on this, and I may resell this again at some point. But that's it, guys. That's all the books I've got for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed all of the books that I've got. Definitely leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the books, and do you think I got some good books here? Do you think I got some good values? I don't know. Give me your opinion on that. But I'm out of here. Before I go, just a reminder, if you're ever interested in any of the books that I have on the channel, definitely reach out to me at collectorauctions@yahoo.com or DM me on my Instagram account. And you can also check out what I've got currently for sale on my eBay store and my Shortbox page. All those links are going to be below in the description on the video. So that's it, guys. I'm out of here. You have a great day. I will see you for the next one. And remember, guys, every comic has a story.